Hello, everyone. Sambonan. Bonjour à tous, bonjour à tous. My name is Josaphat Meludie, and I greet you all. My journey starts like this. Around 4 months ago, I began to adorn the mantle, the cloak, of a spoken word poet. During my brief tenure of the art form, realization coupled with discovery has led me to see spoken word poetry as both the responsibility and flexibility of the poet. Responsibility to venture controversial truths, thus target criticisms or mutual revolving views. Flexibility to combine poetry, dance, song, and all other art forms to cause understanding to bloom. In short, I see myself no less than a mouthpiece to a people, group, mindset, feelings. Never necessarily my own, yet I still claim ownership. In my continent, skirmishes of violence have bloomed and blossomed, spreading as wildfires throughout the land. As bees move from flower to flower, pollinating in their buzzing ways, one can almost hear the similitude to that of bullets, banging, clanging, ricochets off metal, birthed in the circular maws of their trigger-happy mothers. A gun was born. Its children, bullets. Their offspring, victims. Regardless, even in self-defense, the aggressor is still a victim of my call to survive in this jungle's law. Wars in my continent have not been fueled by hatred, rather gunfare, gunshots, armory artillery, machine blare. The superpowers that be have played this game masterfully well. Unfortunately, our African leaders still cannot play to win to beat the big boys at their own games. Yet, they must win. Not for their own selfish greed or desires, but for the team you are playing for, your country, its country folk, the league. What is this league that I speak of? Simply put, it is called the continent of Africa. Despite valiant efforts, history repeats itself time and time again, ever present, just with different time frames. Haiti revolution, forced to pay back millions to France. Uganda and China, at diplomatic gunpoint due to airport construction in one's own land. The Democratic Republic of Congo, Colton mineral mass excavation, but I do not see how it will save the nation. Libya and Gaddafi, tragic post-war oil pillaging. The cycle goes on and on and on. But to stop such cycles, one must first see its circular math, the equations of pi and realms of the past, the strings of fate's ever-strumming bands. For I generally fear the revolution of bullets in my country, as their metamorphism sheds away rubber, knowing instinctively that that metallic sheen penetrates deeper. For it is certain that as kingdoms come and go, will we be so divided that we cannot handle the invaders, the superpowers that be, that turn our lands into war zones, turmoil, cold war, with the war on our shores and the cold as their machinations, calculations. It is a gruesome sight, ugly, unsightly, but possible, very possible in fact. In conclusion, it is undisputable. The last gold rush is upon us, the scramble for Africa. I thus ask, would it not be greater, grander, to make this continent the last most glorious dynasty instead? Perhaps speaks my pride, greed, or mind that echoes to achieve what was so long ago etched in the pyramid stones, witnessed by sphinxes' eyes of prisms. And so I call upon my sisters, brothers, fathers, mothers, grandfathers, grandmothers, and our descendants of ancestry to all become imperial builders of this great continent. Have no shame. Have no fear. Stand proud and tall, for you are all royalty. Become loyal to this land, and I promise you, it will never betray you. It will never forsake thee. For my final magic trick, I shall perform a daring act worthy of Houdini. Unveiling illusions. The mental realm is the playing field. And now, I give you mind games. An older brother taught me a peculiar new notion. When problems were howling outside the gates of his heart, the wolves of opposition surrounding his hustle, which was a steady work of art, a devious smile would creep his figure. And this is what he would say: mind games. Yeah, that's what he would say. And so my conception took a journey and grew to accept wisdom's funny simplicity. In 2022, we have our winners. The USA in first place, followed by Russia in second place. France takes third, China in fourth, and Germany in fifth place. The following are the top exporters of guns sold to the world for mass slaughter and destruction. What? I assume at the mention of these countries' names, you thought they were here to save the day, but nah. They are the special, the cream of the crop, the instigators of wars in Africa's many cores. So I'm sorry to have burst your bubble and dumped your hopes under the rubble. Western civilization is not your savior. It's not here to save, rather than in a brutal way end your living days. Because like madmen, whose endless glee is to see us turn against one another, all corrupt, guns tendered cause the peace to erupt. Then, cursed dark man abruptly takes over in the name of jealousy against ancestral brother, obliterating his kin. Lost bloodlines meant perhaps to be better kings and queens. Mind games is the name of this devilry, well played and paid with even the Russians, second rate to none in all the guns. That is why all I see are devils, none better than another. All I see are levels of how my people are perishing forever. All I see are the missionaries, the wolves in sheepskin who abandoned their Bibles to wear the suits of investors. So excuse me when I get sick, when the greatest continent with her people in all of history have diminished to shadow of former glory, who have devolved to feasting on donor scraps, who feed their children other nations' leftovers fit for rats, the procurement of medication without trace or clue of long-term residual side effects. It sounds to me like the test subjects for the scientists' new Ebola project. So when African customs dictate that when we are extended gifts, we do what? We receive with both hands. However, please feel the need to treat a gift as a seed, because my agriculture teacher taught me to not fear the forest wildfires, rather the persuasive seed that becomes invasive, killing our native plants meant to feed our populations. You see, invasive, that's how they loot. No survivors, that's how they shoot. Mind games is a dangerous dance weaved, causing many to grieve if you can't keep up with the speed. So let's adhere and commit to learning from past mistakes. See the loop, embrace ambitious group, jump out of the backstabbing plane with your parachute. Because better it is self-inflicted injury than to be shot in the back in mystery. Yes, I said it. I prefer going out knowing the identity of my killer so that I can be reincarnated as our son or daughter who will inevitably see the mist in me. Thrust spear in the name of slain father, a tale of blood, bloody boiled vengeance fit enough to make Cain and Abel proud. I am painting the ground in bloody shades. I am the ancestor, overjoyed for poetic justice is finally served for past transgressions. In essence, a man's honor must be redeemed, but please, don't be mistaken. This is not some kind of reverse hatred against the opposing races, because that is not what I initiate. This is just simply the accumulation of my mind being indoctrinated with losing mentality. Since birth taught a history that is heavily redacted with our kings and queens cropped out, all to try to make us achieve, to make us forget that Egypt was us. It wasn't long ago that we kept slaves like a hobby. This is the accumulation of a boy who never knew his roots. The accumulation of discovering that his royal blood alone could fill his very boots. And so he shoots words of dark impressions filled with the fire of inspiration, choosing words instead of rubber bullets to disperse the crowd, to shift the masses. Mind games, the pandemic that ravages our continent. It is gruesome, I know, but I'm not a poet that dials down for the show. So analyze, contemplate, and visualize. If you were in step, in tune, consumed to envision Africa as this world's last glorious dynasty, ruling supreme in one accord, then you would have mastered the game. A true pro, whose accomplishments leave nothing unsaid. And all those players that would have come before you would have been put to shame. For every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall confess that Africa truly is the best, and that its inhabitants, are just above the rest. I thank you.